I try to maintain kind of a posture of asking questions, because like curiosity, and I've been learning a lot about curiosity
Mm,
and how actually high levels of curiosity lead to high levels of vision, because the more that you ask questions, the more you're able to get a clear picture of what the future can be.
mm.
And so that's something what are you gonna say?
But like now, my question is, how do you I- like staying in that phase for too long? Like how, like at some point in life, you kind of have to move with confidence, right? So,
For sure.
um, would you say that it's like, would you say that it's healthy to like kind of move without knowing?
Okay, so I am, there's different people are structured differently. I am a little bit of a chaotic structure, in
Mm.
the sense that like I build the car while I'm driving it.
Oh,
Like
okay.
I'm that kind of guy where I'm like, well, we'll figure it out. Like what's the worst that happens? It all crashes and burns, right? And there's
Mm.
certain things that like I find, if you can find a few principles that reign true, then you can kind of get enough of a direction, right? Like, and the main principles that you really want to know are character based. And so if you can kind of know the basic building blocks and elements of, hey, this is what a strong character looks like, and
Mm.
this is how to go about building it. Now, in any situation, I'm like, okay, cool. I've got a little bit of a gauge already. And so now it's more about, hey, how do I want to actually present myself to the world? What are the skills, abilities, opportunities that are coming my way, and whatever that, in kind of that mix. But the internal world has already been like, there's things that I don't decide on, because I already know this,
Mm.
right? Like I know that kindness is the best route, right? I don't need to wonder, should I pop off or not? You know what I mean?
Mm.
So
Dang. So just kind of sounds like you have to have like a high tolerance of like failure, or because then I know fear of failure like stops me from doing a lot of things.
really,
Yeah, for sure. Oh my god. Like,
all the time.
I mean, just like sounding, because in the lecture hall, like I don't want to sound stupid when I ask a question,
Yeah.
but then so I just like say nothing. Like,
So, because I can be the same way. I'm in a learning community, and
mm,
like all these people are like the type of people that I want to become. You know what I mean? So I'm like, ah. But I've always told myself, like, Joe, you owe it to yourself and to the future responsibility, and you're paying way too much to not ask the question.
you know, I never thought of it that way.
Like your future self deserves this now,
Mm,
because like the other thing I found is that oftentimes the question I'm asking, other people have, they're just not asking it.
mm,
And so a lot of times, like, I've built a reputation of being a question asker, and nobody's like, to my knowledge, nobody's upset about it. It's just, but every time, like, I'll ask a question every week in these community calls, and every week my heart starts racing.
dang. Wait, we rolling?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
I didn't even know. Okay, okay, my bad, my bad.
Nah, dude, this is what the pod is. It's just a conversation, right?
Okay,
It's us
okay.
just trying to figure it out. So like, what are the questions that you're asking? Well, first of all, what's up, guys? This is Jesse.
Hey guys, I'm Jesse.
Um, I feel like we're in a flow, but I do want to circle back to like how I met you, and like where how we got to know each other. I also
Mm.
think it's very funny that the Pua pig's right here, but you know it's fine. So what are the questions that you're trying to figure out right now? Because you said that you used to be asking, like 2 years ago, you were asking a ton of questions. Are you still
Mm.
asking a ton of questions?
Um, I would say yeah, but then I think I'm in a stage where I just have to start being a lot more confident and taking action now. Because then, like, the last 2 years, it's just been a bunch of like inactivity.
Mm-hmm.
Like doing this, for example, like just a podcast. Like 2 years ago, I'd probably be in my head just being like, dude,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
don't know anything. Like, relax. Okay,
yeah.
let's just like sit down. Maybe tell Joe, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, let's reschedule. Let's just push it back. But then now it's just like, okay, you need to take risks in life, is what
Yeah,
I'm doing. So I think I'm in that stage of like taking risks and asking questions now.
that's awesome. How do you um what what's the question I'm trying to get at? Because I agree, there's a certain threshold where you do need to start acting. Um, and but I think that the kind of the first step a lot of times is people can become like knowledge or like answer hoarders without ever acting. And I
Mm,
think about those people that like have 20, 30 degrees, like doctorates, whatever, masters, but they don't actually do anything. They're
mm,
just educational junkies, right?
yeah.
And it's like I don't think that there's like, if that's the route, if you're supposed to live in education, that's awesome. But I do think that there's a point where you have to cross that line of like, no, I'm gonna try to create something now,
Mm,
because I think that we're designed, we're built by God, right? And God's a creator, and so we're built to create things. And I think that there's a lot of times people get like frustrated because they're not creating anything with their life and they know it.
That's the thing. That's the thing. I think, like especially in college, it seems like we're like the main goal is to reproduce. Like we just take in information and then give it back. And at my internship, I was thinking to myself like, okay, what can like I don't want to just continue to reproduce like models
Yeah.
or projects or something like that. So like I don't know. It's just like creating. Like I
Yeah.
think creation is like what I don't know. I'm kind of like money driven, so then I think okay, like in order to create, like in order to make a lot of money or just like make a good career,
Yeah.
you need to be able to create something.
True. You need to be able to go and like offer, be like, hey, I can offer this, I can generate that. It's true. So what do you want to learn to create?
That's the question I'm asking myself right now. Because then I feel like there's just a lot going on, like in the tech space at least. Because
Yeah.
like we work with like AI models,
Oh, it's like
and I feel like in order to actually find success in that field, you do need to have like a PhD, and you do need to be able to work on newer models instead of just recreating like older ones.
I get that. I feel like there's also a level of application. Okay, so I've got so many questions. Is it okay if I just jump into them?
Yeah, you can just.
So, how much do you know about how you're structured?
What do you mean?
Like personality, like communication style, like working style, like do you know, like have you taken any assessments or anything like that?
Um, I would say that's a pretty good question. I haven't really taken inventory like that.
Bro, I can give you like three or four that would probably be okay. So I'll just list them out because this is I think this is I feel like this would help a lot of people, to be honest. One, I would go and figure out some personality stuff, and so 16 personalities is a pretty good one. Myers Briggs, you can learn just a few basic things. The next one I would go with is figuring out your working genius. Right, working genius is really a great system because there's 6 stages to getting anything done. There's wonder where you're coming up with this big picture of like, oh, like should we go into this industry or should we go into this industry, or is there a problem that people want answered? And that's a lot of times where business ideas come from, is this wonder, kind of like, I wonder if somebody needs this, right, type of thing. Then it goes to invention where it's somebody like, hey, I can come up with a solution to that, right? And so the inventor is like, oh, I can do that. And then it goes to discernment, and the discerner kind of responds to the inventor and is like, hey, like that's a great idea, but you forgot about this, you're missing this piece, or whatever it may be. And then it goes from discernment to galvanizer, and the galvanizer gets everybody on board. They kind of rally the troops. They're like, all right, team, this is what we're doing. This is how we're going to do. This is why we're going to do it. All that stuff. And then discernment goes to enable it, who's like, hey, like I'm here to help. Whatever you want help doing, I'm going to do. Right. Like they're not so worried about what role they play. They just want to add value. And then it kind of lands with tenacity. And tenacity people are like, anything I start, I finish.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to get it done. And so you have two that are your working genius, two that are your working frustration, right? And then two that are your working competency. And your working genius gives you energy. Like when you do it, you're just like energized. Like that's when you're going to work and you're coming back and you feel good because you didn't have to live in your frustration. Your frustration drains your energy, and your competency is kind of like, I can do it, but I'm not like
high level or something like that. But just to now answer your initial question, I feel like adding value to something is definitely one of my working competencies. I feel like.
So you think like you mean like the enablement, kind of like,
yeah, just like
just
enabling.
helping with whatever. Yeah, no, that makes sense. So I think if you learn what those are, then you can know what role is best for you, and then you can know like what people to partner with. So for example, you may be like, oh, I want to go into the tech space and I want to whatever it may be, right? And my initial thought, because my two geniuses are inventor and galvanizing, right? And so my initial thought was, oh, you should come up with an idea, because I come up with ideas. Like that's what I do, right? But if your two working geniuses are discernment and enablement, then you're really, really great at helping people. Like you are like an amazing person to partner with because you will help refine ideas and you'll help implement ideas, right? Like you're brilliant in that space. And so it's really good to know like where you land because then it kind of can set you up. And I know some people that are, I know a guy who's wonder and then tenacity. So he's on opposite ends.
Oh wow.
Right. But he's asking a ton of great questions and then he's really good at getting things done. So those are really helpful.
Okay. So it's called 60 personalities.
So 16 personalities is the personality one. That's Myers-Briggs. And then this one is called the working genius.
The working genius.
And then I love getting into like communication and how you break stuff down. And so Erwin McManus released a book recently called The 7 Frequencies of Communication. And he basically outlines these 7 different primary ways that people communicate. And you can learn to communicate in any way. But a lot of times people don't they don't know how they come across. And so if you intentionally learn to understand that and craft it well, and you can orient your communication to serve other people, you can communicate very, very effectively. And I think a lot of people just don't know where they land. And so they want to come across empathetic, but their default communication style is commander. And so people are like, why are you always telling me what to do? When they're actually in their mind, they're offering a suggestion, but it's coming out as a command. And it's like, oh, like if you just knew that, you could just change how you're phrasing it and make it so much more, it'd round the corners on it.
Yeah. You know, maybe I should like show this to my parents or something. Cause oh my goodness. Cause I feel like my mom she's very caring, but she comes off as commanding.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe that's something we could talk about.
Dude, that's hilarious. Well, okay, so like my number one is healer, right? And so I generally like I'm literally wearing a hoodie that says safe on it because like that's how I see the world. It's like I want to create safe spaces for people, stuff like that. But I also know that there are times where I will second guess. I'm worried that I was offending somebody, and like I've apologized for things that they were like, what? Like you didn't. I wasn't even close to feeling like that. Because in my head, I'm so worried about
like how they feel.
Yeah, because I'm on the other side. I'm like command is probably my last one. I can communicate in it, but I don't like it. I'm not like default like.
I have a question. So, like when you apologize, when you apologize to people and then they're like, dude, I didn't even take it that way. Would you say you're apologizing based on how you would react in that situation?
I'm apologizing a lot of times based on my inner tone. Like I'm apologizing a lot of times because I feel like I said this out of the wrong spirit. And so like that's when I'm like, hey, like I'm sorry I communicate that. And they're like, oh no, I didn't even pick up on that. But I would rather apologize to them to try to make sure that it wasn't because like have you ever communicated something and you know when you're communicating it you're like I'm angry, like I want you to know I'm angry, right? And you know that you're not even right, you're just upset. And that's when I'm usually like, and a lot of times because I communicate as a healer, a lot of times they don't pick it up that I'm angry, but I knew in my own soul that I was wrong.
So how do you end up resolving the issue?
Like the tension point?
Yeah, because then I feel like I find myself in those type of situations. Like, okay, like I would say something and then like I'd overthink about it. Then I'd just be like, okay, hey, sorry about this or sorry about that.
Yeah.
But then it feels like sometimes the situation the tension just kind of lingers. Like I don't know if it's in my head or if the person's holding it against me. I'm not entirely sure. So how do you like solidify that, okay, the situation's over, everything's forgiven?
That's good. That's a tough question. I think I kind of go back to a few different things. One, the Bible talks about, hey, as much as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. And so like as much as it depends on you means that you can't create peace in every situation because you can only do what depends on you. And so there's this element to relationships where it's like hey, I did everything in my power to make sure that we're good.
Mm.
If you're gonna hold something against me, it is what it is. Like I didn't. eh, Go ahead.
Oh no, no, I'm just like, okay, like you're spitting facts, um, like whatever you're just saying right now, it's kind of just resolving some of like
The inner
the
tension.
inner tension that's going on right now. So just keep
Yeah.
going. Like I'm
That's funny.
like you're spitting facts, and I'm just like agreeing, and I'm just like, okay, okay. I'm also making
Yeah,
connections
that's
in my head,
funny.
like, okay, like it's fine.
Yeah, so there's that side of it, and then there's a side of it where it's like, you don't want to, in my mind, over apologize or over kind of try to, because if somebody isn't willing to do the work to make sure that you're at peace,
Hmm.
right? You don't need to overextend yourself
Hmm.
in a sense, right? My thing is like, if you need to learn to define in your own soul, am I feeling this tension because I haven't done my part to own me,
Hmm.
or am I feeling this tension because I want them to be happy with me, right? And like, if you want them to be happy with you, that's a little bit more on that people pleasing codependent side,
Hmm.
right? If you're feeling that tension of like, I don't feel like I handled this well, that's on that character side, and you're like,
Hmm.
okay, no, 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 I need to go own this. I need to go have this conversation. If it's on the other side, it's like, okay, well, my character, in order for my character to grow, I actually need to be like, you know what? I'll drop it. I'll leave it as it is. And it's interesting because you can find out who's really like I think there's a nuance here where you can learn how to create safe spaces for other people to come to you,
Hmm.
right, and have conversations where it's like there are people that I'm said, hey, if there's ever anything wrong, just come talk to me. I'd rather have a conversation than you hold it in,
Hmm.
right? And I've literally said that to people and then given them the space, right? Or like, hey, are you okay? Like it seems like something's off or something's bothering you, right? But you no longer attach yourself to it
Hmm.
because it may be that there is something going on and you were just one out of 10 things,
That,
and now you're assuming that, like, I think it's a pretty selfish thing to do, to assume that everybody's problems are because of you. Like that's a
hmm.
massive expression of like pride actually.
It's something I've been trying to come to terms with, because maybe this week I was thinking to myself, the relationship that you have with yourself kind of determines
Mm-hmm.
how you would how you would perceive
Yeah.
how other people perceive you, if
Yeah,
that
dude.
makes any sense.
No, that's a massive truth.
Yeah, because like I don't know if you're, because usually I'm not kind to myself. So then when there is an issue with somebody, I would assume that, okay, this is like the reason, like I'm the reason why they're angry, or I'm the reason
Mm-hmm.
why they're going through it, and then I just try my best to like fix it or get back on the good side.
Yeah, yeah. When in reality, like you may not be at all the thing,
Mm.
right? Or you may be a part of it, but like to assume that you're the whole, like, and that's something I resonate with that because I'm like that.
Mm.
Where like I'll assume that, say take Fran for example, I'll assume that she's not having a great day because of an interaction that we had, and I'm like, all right, Joe, like you can relax, like you're not the ruler of her day.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Mm.
So
Okay. That just answered a lot of questions. Like,
that's funny.
yeah,
Well, I think it's interesting though to dig into that element of like, why do you think you're not kind to yourself?
that's a deep question. You know, I'm
Or
only 22, so I'm like still unraveling. Like, I'm really just trying to go,
trying to figure it out.
like, try to figure that out. But I think it's good that I am asking these questions this early on,
It's
just
critical.
so maybe when I'm older, I'm like a lot more wiser than I am.
Yeah.
But the reason why is just because in college you're gonna have like failed relationships,
Yeah, yeah.
and like number one, I'm like an overthinker, so it's like I always want to be on the good side of somebody. Like I don't want to ever make somebody feel terrible.
Yeah, yeah, for
So
sure.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know why that is. Like I think I've just been wired that way my whole life. Like,
Yeah. Where you just you want people to it would, I'll just say this, like we're having a conversation.
mm,
Not like we can cut out whatever.
yeah.
So like I'm not worried about all this.
I'm trying to like ignore the camera right
Yeah,
now.
yeah. But like I think there's an element, a really real element of like Do you really want people to want you and accept you?
Yeah, of course. I feel like everybody would wants that.
Yeah.
Um,
But do you feel like you don't fit in?
yeah, I feel like I find myself being too I find myself being too nice to the point where it's less like, okay, like if I am mad at somebody, I won't really fully express it just because I don't want the relationship to go sour.
Yeah, yeah. Or have any tension?
Yeah, and then it just goes back to the relationship with myself because then
Yeah.
I feel like I feel like you just have to be extremely comfortable and happy with yourself.
Yeah.
So then you don't have too much of like an overbearing presence on somebody else's life just because you want to keep them in your life.
Hmm. Yeah. Do you feel like you ever, because I had to do this, is learn how to like communicate expectations that I have for other relationships that I have,
Mm.
where it's like, hey, like I don't think it's wrong for like to say to your close friends, hey, like I know that not all the time you're gonna be able to text me back right away, but like it actually means a lot to me if you text me back,
Mm.
right? Like I don't think that's a wrong thing to communicate if you're close
It's
to somebody.
it's really not. I think because I was doing this with my best friend Eric. Um, he's been going through a lot of things, but
Yeah.
then he hasn't been answering my texts. So then I was in a position of like, oh, like do I express to him that, hey, like you not hitting me
Responding.
back up?
Yeah.
Like I know I'm not the issue in your life, but then I'm your friend. I'm here to help out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It kind of affects me negatively when you don't text me back.
Mm-hmm.
And then it felt like I would have been adding on to his problems if I texted him that. But then I think he did appreciate the fact that, okay, me letting him know that, dude,
Yeah.
you have to like communicate in some way, because then he is going through some stuff, but then I want to be there to help him.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can't support what you don't know about.
Exactly.
No, that's real.
Yeah.
That's real. That's nuts, dude. Hey, I feel like you're on your way, bro.
I'm trying, dude. I'm trying.
I can
I'm
tell.
trying.
I can hear it.
I'm trying.
It's so crazy because like I've been trying for years too,
Mm.
and like I can tell you that if you keep going the direction you're going, like you're gonna be all right. Like when I was like who I am now versus who I was when I was 22, very different.
Mm.
But I was on the in 2019 probably, which was when I was 22. Like I think, yeah, I started going to like Celebrate Recovery, right? Started working on an addiction that I had in my life, and started learning how to communicate and learning how to be transparent and learning how to talk about my feelings and learning how to like like unload and unrelease the pressure valve on my heart.
Mm.
And it was so much of that time and so much of that effort and so much of asking questions and talking to people and having those conversations and going up and like being transparent and all that stuff. And like I can't imagine who I would be now if I didn't start that process.
Mm.
And like I think about my marriage and I think about my little baby that's coming and I think about like my life is so beautiful.
It's amazing.
And it's like I take credit only for the fact that I owned myself.
Mm.
Other than that.
Yeah. I don't know, because like, dude, I look at people like you, and I'm just like, you haven't figured out. But then, like, would you say that, like, and obviously, that's unrealistic. But then, would you say that, um, it takes a lot of courage to live the life that you have?
Uh I think it takes a lot of courage to address yourself.
Mm.
I agree. Because, like, the first day I was going to Celebrate Recovery, I remember sitting in the parking lot, like, shaking a little bit.
Mm.
Like, maybe not, like, I wasn't, like, violently convulsing, but I was kind of like, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to walk in and tell them that I have this addiction. I don't want to, like, all that stuff. And I was just like, dude, you don't want to be here anymore.
Mm.
Like, and it kind of goes back to, I don't think I was necessarily thinking this, but I think if I had to go back and I needed a mental structure, it'd be like, the future version of you deserves health. The future version of you deserves freedom.
Mm.
The future version of you you deserve, and not in the sense that you've earned it necessarily, but in the sense that like you've got value, Joe. Like go get better.
Mm.
And like I just think about the fact that even now, like I don't think I'm out here adding massive amounts of value to everybody, but I do think like even now I'm able to have these conversations with different people, and I'm able to give them a little bit of a guide because I first addressed me. and now I can go help you address you.
Oh wow.
You know what I mean? And it's really significant. But yeah, it does take a massive amount of courage. But I also think it's like, I think that you will look back on your life with a lot of regret if you never take the step.
So like you literally opening the car door, walking through the entrance. It's like that was kind of like you just kind of letting go of like that pride, because then I feel like there is a sense of like a little bit of pride when you're thinking to yourself, you don't want to do this, because
Yeah.
like you essentially going through those doors is like you accepting the fact that this is an actual thing.
Yeah. No, it's real.
Oh
No,
my goodness.
literally. Because you've got to go in. It's like, oh, if I keep it hidden, or I think a lot of people will think that their willpower can get them through. And it's like,
That's real.
dude, I don't have a lot of willpower.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm like unique and like I got a particularly low amount of willpower. I just think that like I need to save my willpower. I will orient my life so that I don't need to use it very often. So when I need it, I have it. Because willpower is a limited resource. Right? And so like if you're always like, I'm going to will myself through, it's like, all right, you can, but you're going to get tired and then you're going to crash. But if you set your life up so that you don't need to make the decision, it's already been made. And then the few times that you do, you're like, oh no, I don't do that. Like I can will myself out of this because I can't control these circumstances, but I control almost everything else. And not in like a super hyper controlling sense, but like I don't want to waste my time scrolling on social media. So guess what? I don't have social media on my phone. So guess what? Now I don't need to will myself out of it because I'm not putting it in my path.
So what do you fill your time up with when you're not using social media?
Creating things, talking to people, hanging out, thinking about my life.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like social media is just like a escape from that, because then a lot of people don't want answers to those questions.
Escape's a big word. Because I think most people are trying to numb how they feel.
Exactly.
Because they don't like being stuck with themselves.
It's a big task though. Like
to be with yourself.
Yeah, just to be with yourself. Like it's a huge task, because then, like, I'm not gonna speak for everybody, but then I'm gonna speak for myself. Like I'm gonna speak for myself. I would say that I do have like a big ego. So when it comes to like me confronting my flaws, it's just like, dude, I don't want to have that conversation with myself. Like, I don't want to have that conversation with myself.
That's real.
But I think
that's real.
Like, I'm trying to right now, but I think that's just like the most important thing to have. Like, would you say the relationship with yourself and like the relationship with I wouldn't say like your ego, but then being able to humble yourself and just like the relationship with yourself, would you say that that's the most important thing to have?
I think it's a massive piece. I think your ability to humble yourself is directly correlated to your ability to succeed in anything.
Would you also say that like the relationship with yourself needs to be in good standing in order to treat people better, like just treat the people around you a lot better?
I think so.
Yeah, because one thing I've noticed is that when I'm feeling down on myself and when I don't like how I feel about myself, I could just project those like negative feelings onto some of my relationships.
Yeah.
So I think that's just like a huge thing. Just like being good with yourself is huge.
Dude, it's almost everything. It feels like it's not everything, but it's almost everything. All right, I gotta restart dude, I love putting random. So we had to restart the camera because it's gonna turn off after a little while. I love here. You can go and bring it a little closer to your mouth. See if you can, if it'll twist up.
Testing.
There you go.
Testing,
nice.
testing.
We're getting a new refrigerator today because our freezer broke. It's a problem. How am I supposed to keep my frozen goods?
How are you keeping your frozen goods?
I'm not. I don't have any.
Oh my goodness! For how long?
3 weeks. Isn't that crazy?
That's insane. So like
my sister and my mom were like, bro, you should ask for like $500 off your rent. Say you lost $500 worth of food, and I was like, I don't know. It feels like a lot.
I mean, it's like $500 extra for the month.
I see.
That makes a huge difference.
You know it. You're not wrong. You're really not wrong. But I don't know. I feel like Sometimes if you offer grace, you get grace back when you need it.
Mm.
But if you're
Mm.
legalistic all the time, you end up getting legalism back.
Exactly. You reap
So,
what you sow in this life.
amen. It's
Oh my
crazy.
goodness.
But how do you, what are the things that you're trying to do right now to make yourself, or not make yourself, make sure that you are in right standing with yourself?
Prayer.
Yeah.
Prayer. Like, I feel like the last 2 years, my relationship with God has definitely been on and off. But then I feel like when I'm like on, everything just seems a lot like everything's just like a lot more peaceful. Like stressful situations don't really stress me out like that. But then it's like when I stray away and when I stop like reading my Bible and praying a lot is when I find myself, just stressing out.
Yeah. Yeah. Things start
So
to spin out.
yeah, like literally, I think it's impossible for you to be good with yourself without asking for God's grace.
Yeah. That's an interesting intersection. Like, what's the intersection between your relationship with yourself? That's why when you said, like, do you think the relationship with yourself is the most important? I go like, I think about you can't really have healthy relationship with yourself without a healthy relationship with God, because you can't really generate. I feel like I can't generate grace in my own soul outside of receiving grace first. You know what I mean? Like, I can't generate necessarily love in my own soul and love for myself unless I get that seed from God first of love.
I mean, like God is love, and then for one, so I think not having like a serious or good relationship with Him can make you not be able to like generate love for other people.
Yeah.
And then like if you don't have God in your life, then you won't have like love for yourself as well. Like I feel like a lot of times people just have a negative outlook on themselves and have a negative outlook on life.
Yeah.
It's because, bro, like I'm gonna be honest, you're not praying. Like
Yeah, you're not talking to God.
you're not
Yeah,
talking to
yeah,
God.
yeah.
Like you need to, if you're really locked in, then you're just able to see situations in a different way.
It's true.
Like you
It,
know,
it changes everything.
it really does. It really does.
Hmm.
Like especially at school, a lot of the times people would tell me that, hey, like I never really saw it that way. Like, how do you see it this way?
Yeah.
Tell them it's God. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense how I come up with these things or just like advice that I give to some of my friends. But then it's just like, how could you be so forgiving? I'm not forgiving. I pray to God to help me forgive. Like, that's the
That's
thing.
crazy.
So
Yeah,
that
yeah.
like, God literally just softens your heart.
Yeah, it's true.
So, like, above everything, the relationship with God should be perfect. Like it should be very, very
Yeah,
strong. And if you have a strong relationship with God, then you'll have a better relationship with yourself.
it's true. So, because I absolutely agree. It's like you need that relationship with Jesus first, and to understand His love that He has for you. So then, what are the practical ways to translate that into love for yourself?
Into love for yourself.
Because I think that a lot of people I think some of the most internally self-destructive people are Christians.
Oh, I mean, okay, so when I was like taking my walk with God a lot more serious,
Yeah.
dude, I just found myself feeling like I was doing everything wrong. Like it's just hard. Like I don't know,
Yeah.
like the conviction that you have in your heart when you start like really delving in.
Yeah, yeah.
But then you just have like what I do is I just ask God to give myself grace, like help me give myself grace. Because
Yeah.
then again, like we're only made perfect through Him. So I think it's just coming to terms with accepting that you're nothing without God. Like you're
Yeah.
literally nothing without Him.
That you
Like
can't handle it.
you're prone to making a lot of mistakes anyway, because like that's just human nature.
Hmm.
But and God's perfect, so you need God to assist you to at least emulate some kind of perfection.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. That's interesting. I'm trying to think of like what I do. The other day I had a really hard time getting out of bed. And like what happens when I have a hard time getting out of bed is I start getting mad at myself for not getting out of bed. I don't like, Joe, get up. What are you doing? You got stuff to do. Like, don't be a bum. Don't be lazy. Like, get up. Like, all this stuff. And I just remember having this moment where I was like, dude, no one's upset with you. Relax. And I was just like, be kind to yourself. And I just took a moment to be like, you know, Joe, like you're working hard and you're tired. I get that. Take 3 minutes. Just sit here. and then we're gonna get up and we're gonna win the day.
Mm.
And like it's so interesting because like I could have easily had my whole day be trash, but like I had a great day, like literally a great day. But I think a lot of that comes from like one, I know that God, I kind of believe, I genuinely believe that's how God sees me. Like I don't think that God was like, why are you not getting up? Why are you not grinding? Why are you not whatever? Like I don't think that's how God sees me. So one, it's like God is patient with me, and so now I'm like, all right, Joe, like nobody's upset with you. Like I literally, my wife was getting ready, and she's like, oh man, you're really tired. I get that. Like da da da. Like she wasn't upset with me. Nobody's upset with me. I'm upset with me, right? Because I'm not living up to a standard that isn't human. Like it's, and so it's like just take a second. You're okay. And like just being kind to myself was a really interesting thing. But yeah, I feel like that's kind of a piece of like all those things that you'd offer to others, like patience and love and joy and peace and stability and all these things. Like, can you learn to offer those to yourself? Because I think that's a big thing. And what does that really look like? Because like to offer kindness to yourself, for me, it looks like kind words, right? For a lot of people, it looks like going to the gym on a regular basis, right? It looks like taking care of their body. It looks like putting myself around good people. It looks like, right? Like, how do I offer kindness to me? Because I need to do that, or else I'm going to, if I treat myself like trash, eventually I'm going to feel like trash. So.
Yeah. So I think it's kind of the same thing. Like, just give yourself grace.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You just really do have to give yourself grace. But, would you say that there's a fine line between grace and then just being outright lazy? Because then I feel like a lot of the time I could wake up and I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to scroll on TikTok. Like, dude, you've done like 3 projects, relax, just chill out, watch TikTok. But then I feel like I overindulge. Is it when you overindulge in like laying down? Like what's that line for you?
My line is when I stop. I go from it's no longer refreshing to now I'm avoiding. And that's an internal line. Like, right, where you're like, I also think there's other things that I know make me feel better, but I'm avoiding those. So, right, like if I'm scrolling on TikTok or I'm scrolling on social media or whatever, and it's like the first 10 minutes, like that's kind of my threshold, 10 to 15 minutes. I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like, you know what I mean? After that, I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And if I keep scrolling past, there's usually something that I'm avoiding. Hey, Joe, if you do the dishes, you're going to feel great about your house. Hey, if you go for a run, you're going to feel great about your body. Hey, if you, right, like, and that's when it's like, okay, when I cross the line from like enjoying to avoiding.
I'm gonna keep note of that for sure. I'm gonna keep note of that because I feel like I just I avoid assignments sometimes. Like I'm just like, dude, I don't want to open my laptop and read.
Yeah.
I don't want to open my laptop and do something like.
Do you avoid doing things that you know are really good for you?
I mean, for sure, yeah. Like homework, for example. Like if I get
no, but like a refreshing,
like
genuinely refreshing. I don't know how good homework is for you. That's crazy.
No, I mean, seeing that Blackboard submission email is the most relaxing feeling of all time. Like you're just like, okay, now I can actually chill. I think it's just the thought of like having homework.
Yeah.
That stresses me out. But then when I turn it in, I feel really good about myself because I'm just like,
I did that.
Yeah. So, but then like actually refreshing. I'd say like, yeah, if I'm avoiding going to the gym, then that's I don't think I avoid it though, because then I feel like I need to do it.
Yeah.
I need to go to the gym to like function.
That's good.
So.
Hey, dude, you look strong.
I appreciate that, man. I'm trying. I'm trying for sure. We're all trying.
Bro, I'm out here. I'm skinny, bro. But somebody's been telling me I'm getting my dad's strength in.
Low key, I feel like when she's born.
Yeah, my daughter.
Like the dad strength is you're just gonna get that update out of nowhere.
Bro, it's so funny because like I was working on like a project with somebody, and they work out, like they're strong, they're functionally stronger than me, right? And like they were trying to do something, and I was like, oh, and I like did it, and they were like, dang Joe, like you got that dad strength. I feel like a lot of dad strength is like hand strength.
Yeah, it is.
Like it's like weird, kind of like I don't know.
It's, I don't know, like dexterity or something.
Like kind of the ability, like grip strength. Like you can
mm,
hold. You've held more things. Like I've moved. I've helped more people move, or I've helped like I have a friend who probably has crazy grip strength, like
mm-hmm.
because he's built tables and built all sorts of stuff, and he's just like,
Dang.
yeah, it was wild.
Um,
So how do I know you?
oh my goodness. So you were my leader for the youth back in like middle school.
Which is crazy, bro. Because now it's like, bro, I remember when you were like a foot and a half shorter and running around with your twin brother.
You know, those were peak times. Like going to Elevate, having
The
Papa
youth
John's
ministry, yeah.
pizza.
Oh, were you on setup?
Yeah.
That's crazy, dude.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was really fun. That was extremely fun. And then I think it was the fact that you're also like a younger leader.
That's
It kind
fair.
of got me to like be like, okay, you know what? This guy is serious. Like in my head, I'm thinking, you know, this guy's extremely serious. He's leading the youth
Yeah,
as like
yeah,
a teenager. I should
yeah.
be like him.
Right.
So
Because I'm only what 4 years older than you,
yeah.
5 years older than you. Yeah. So it's like I think I was probably a senior when you first joined our group,
Oh
which
wow.
is so funny.
Yeah, I think, but yeah, during that time, I don't know. I just gravitated to your personality, and I kind of just
That's funny.
like I don't know. I kind of just adopted like that, like certain values that you
Yeah,
had
yeah.
for yourself. Because then, you know, I ended up like teaching tennis.
Did you really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
like
That's awesome.
senior year up to sophomore year of college. I
Really?
like helped lead like the fitness program, and then like I'd just be coaching like kids that are like 3 4 years younger than me. So
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
like,
Like
I
that same range.
yeah. So I think I definitely got like my helping personality or just like that part of me from you, just like
That's
looking at
funny.
you, because then dude, like you facilitated
The group?
the whole group, like
Bro, can I tell you when there would be like 10 middle school boys and like me and Orville? Or were you with Orville?
yeah, I was with
Okay, yeah.
Orville. Oh my goodness, I miss him. he
Bro,
was he was
he's like
great.
this. He's an amazing guy. He's like a 5 foot, like Hispanic man who's like,
Dude, he was larger than life because he could just
bro,
carry a room. It
he
was
really
insane.
could.
It was insane.
Bro, he was very dynamic, very, very alive. I gotta reach out to him. But
Where is he?
he's in Florida.
Wow.
Last I heard he was in Orlando.
Okay.
I don't know. I haven't talked to him in a while.
He
Gotta
he
give him a
got
call.
married and he was getting married and then I wanted to go to the wedding, but then he's just like, dude, there is no way.
That's
I
so
was like,
funny.
I hear it because like we were crazy.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
were
bro.
crazy kids.
Like, that's so funny, man. And then, bro, and I was just like, I'm just rolling around with like all these middle schoolers every Saturday morning at Rio, and it's like, I'm like like 12 of us deep. It's like vastly outnumbered. People are probably like, what kind of like Big Brother program is this? Like,
No, but I didn't really think of it
uh,
that way because then I thought people would just like look at the group because then a lot of times people would just come up and then just be like, yo, like you guys are praying in public, like,
yeah,
and then they'd give you like props for it. They'd be like, yo,
that's so
keep doing
funny.
your thing. So I'm just
Yeah.
like, you know, look at this man Joe, man,
Hey, bro,
inspirational.
dude, it's so crazy because it's like for me, I don't necessarily think I was thinking like, oh wow, like look, I've got all these like students that are following. I was just like, let me just show up.
Mm,
Let's just keep showing up and see what happens,
mm.
right? And now, like fast forward, that was when I was what 11th, 12th grade, and now I'm what 10 years out of high school, which is crazy.
Time goes by fast.
It does, and now I get to lead the youth ministry, and it's kind of like, what the heck? Like this is so crazy that now I get to be a part of because I just kept showing up to try to help people, and I think that that's really the key. Like even when you're talking about like what you want to do,
Mm.
I feel like that's a big piece is like if you just find an area that you like enough and you just keep showing up trying to add value, it usually works out.
Usually, it always works out. I have a question though. Do you feel like a part of you knew you were gonna lead, like become a youth leader?
I think so. I feel like God put it in my heart when I was pretty young.
Mm.
I didn't know how it was going to play out, and I didn't necessarily know if it was going to be at Redeemer or wherever, but I felt like I had a sense of it. I didn't necessarily make all my decisions lining up with it
Mm.
until I started doing that a little bit later. But God's so like cool because He will give you a vision of where He kind of wants you to go a lot of times, and it's not perfect.
Mm.
It's just like someday you're gonna end up here. At least that's how it worked with me. And then as you start making decisions, he kind of drops things in your heart and he brings the right people and he sets you up and he's like, hey, like, just go that way. Just do this. Just try that.
So with that like leader position, I feel like I'm like asking you a lot of the questions, but
You're good.
like
I'm chill, bro.
with that leadership position, or like building up to that leadership position, like, do you feel like you had to fit a certain kind of mold, or did you create like
I create the mold.
or did you create the mold? Like, how did that, like, how would you say you crafted that?
I think one, I still am, I'm very curious. So like I learned, and I love leadership. Like I love it as a topic. And so like I could literally, we could have a whole, because there's series in together, we could have a whole series on called Lead Together, where it's literally like just talking about leadership, because I love it. I think it's so interesting. But I think that I learned that you really want to learn to play to your strengths. And so when I was learning to lead and learning how to develop other people, I was like, all right, well, who am I? Like, and not in a sense of like, who am I? I'm like nothing, right? It's like more of like, no, like, how did God design me? Because if I understood how it was designed, I could build it so that it's as effective as it can be, right? Like, I don't necessarily care about looking like even our like senior pastor. I don't care about looking like this other pastor, this other youth pastor. I'm like, no, Joe, like, what's going to be most effective if you're put in this role, right? And so figuring on a constant journey to figure that out. And that's why I ask about like the self-assessments and like things like that, because it's like, okay, Joe, you're really good in this situation. All right, you do that, and then build your team around you and build these other opportunities and figure out like, and that's what I started doing even with the church where I'm like, no, our church is really good at this, like really good at this particular structure. I'm not going to worry about these other ones, right? They can do that. They can, in Alabama, they can do it that way. In DC, they can do it this way. In London, they can do it this way. But here, this is what works for us, right? And so it was just kind of like learning myself, learning where I am, learning all that kind of stuff. So that's why when you say like, did I build the mold? I just discovered what was already in me, right? And like started to sharpen it, because like the raw ingredients are all there. It's just whether you're going to take the time to refine them. You know what I mean?
Have you ever thought of writing a book?
Yeah, actually.
Dude, what would it be titled?
I don't want to say it here, because if for some strange reason it blows up, I don't, but I'll tell you about it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It'd be a book on humility.
Amazing.
Which is ironic, I guess.
I feel like humility is probably the biggest, like the greatest trait a person can have, because again, like just going back to like the conversation, I feel like pride just does ruin everything.
Well, the simple structure that I like to think of is like at the very beginning of time, before time even existed, maybe like the first sin was Lucifer, and it was pride, right? And so you go back to the very beginning, like the thing that caused all the destruction. Then Lucifer goes to earth and causes Adam and Eve to have pride in themselves, and so this desire to be God is the sin. Right? And so it's the core of all other problems, which is amazing, because if you know that pride is always the problem, then humility is always the solution. And so in any given situation, if you can ask yourself, how do I need to humble myself here? You have a leg up on solving the problem.
Amen. You know,
pretty cool.
I'm just taking notes. Oh my goodness,
Jesse, bro, I love hanging out with you, man. You're a good guy. We gotta hang out more.
1000%. You know,
now that you're closer.
I'm really close as well, so we can like I always find myself back here.
That's
it's kind of funny,
right.
like because like what 2 years ago I was there,
and
then like what, a year passes, we're on the second year, I'm back here, so it's just like, okay, you know, God's saying something, so
might have time to jump in.
Definitely, I'll definitely show up.
But bro, thanks for hopping on the pod. This is a great conversation.
Thanks for having me, man. Right, I really do appreciate it.
We got to get a thumbnail, so do like a peace sign or something like
that. Peace sign.
All right, bet.
Yeah.
Love you, bro. This is great.
Love you too, man. Oh my goodness, this is actually amazing, though.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Bro, you're good.